Hey there, my name is Ash, and this is my definitive guide to all the support characters in Roblox Forsaken. This video will contain tips and tricks for each support character to hopefully help further your understanding of them, and to help your gameplay out. In other words, if you already feel like you've mastered all the support characters, this video is probably not for you, but I would still stick around, there might be something you don't know. There will be timestamps linked in the description if you would like to just skip to one specific character. Also, please subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And that's pretty much it. On with the video now, starting with... Dusekkar is a very interesting support in that he is incredibly unique. He is also my personal favorite of the support roster due to his intricacies and very high skill ceiling. The difficulty rating in-game has Dusekkar rated as a full 5 stars, which normally scares new players off from even trying him. This is completely fair due to the fact that Dusekkar is a very hard character to get a good grasp on due to how different he is in playstyle from literally everybody else. The main jobs on Dusekkar consist of slowing the killer, speeding your teammates, and protecting your teammates with your spawn protection ability. Spawn protection is probably one of, if not the best survivor ability when used correctly. With that being said, how exactly do you use spawn protection correctly though? Spawn protection is best utilized at a safe distance away from the person you're protecting. Usually you want to aim for elevation or a very far distance away. A good example of this would be the hill on Yorick's resting place. Not only would it take the killer a long time to get up to you, but it also gives the person you're protecting a very large open area to run around while you can stay protecting them so they don't have to run behind walls or anything and break the protection. While playing Dusekkar, you are incredibly important to the team. The killer will often know this fact and usually target you as, well, you provide support to the entire team, therefore making you a high value target. While protecting somebody with spawn protection, there are two different outcomes that usually come from it. The first and most common one is the killer will drop whoever they are chasing and attempt to chase you, the Dusekkar. This will usually happen if the person you're protecting is relatively high HP or you yourself are lower. This is also heavily dependent on how close you are to the killer. If you are on the other side of the map protecting somebody, there is a much lower chance that they will drop the chase and go after you. They will normally instead just continue to hit the person being protected. In the case that the killer drops the survivor to chase you, immediately drop your protection on the survivor by moving the circle away from them. This immediately drops it and will give you back your full movement control. Do be aware that more experienced killers may try to fake you out by fake running towards you to get you to drop the protection, then continuing their chase. I personally find it to be a better safe than sorry type deal. I always drop my protection anyway, even if it is a fake out, because most of the time if you continue to protect them, the killer will just end up chasing you anyway. There are certain situations where letting the killer chase you would be a good idea. For example, if you are at low time and the killer's chasing a 1 health person, if you yourself are at full HP, it would be good for the killer to drop that chase and chase you instead. But about 99% of the time, you're going to want to drop your protection due to the fact that Dusekkar really has no staying power in a chase. Pretty much every other survivor has at least something to help themselves out. Dusekkar is completely run dry in that fact. He has roughly nothing to stay alive in a chase. In the case that the killer continues to attack the survivor that you are protecting, just leave the protection on them as long as you can until the killer decides either to come after you or to go chase someone else. This is also a good time to mention that once a survivor reaches a certain threshold, it's not even worth it to protect them anymore. If a survivor is going to die in one hit, if they're about 3%, 5%, 1%, it's not worth it to protect them. They will still die in one hit. A lot of the times when you are protecting newer or just scared survivors, they will tend to run towards you as you spawn protect them. This is probably the worst thing they can do, but it's something you yourself have to work around. Basically what I'm saying is if you're the person that's running towards a Dusekkar while they're spawn protecting you, please stop, I beg you. Usually what my practice is when this happens is to drop my spawn protection and immediately try to zap the survivor or the killer. Once you recognize the survivor that you're protecting is running towards you, if you have enough distance, usually you can get it off in time, and then run yourself, because you don't know how close that killer is going to come to you. This usually happens to survivors who have been in chase for a long time or are at low health and just scared. For a quick, concise recap on spawn protection before we move on to Dusekkar's second ability, it is best used at a distance, Elevation can be your friend when using it. Try and stand up on top of very high places that'll take the killer a very long time to get to. Protect your sentinels and other supports whenever they need it. Those are your two top priorities, as they are the people that can help you out the most. Try to position and get your team to play around really open areas, as this is where spawn protection thrives. And finally, don't be scared to drop your spawn protection early if you feel threatened by the killer running towards you. As Dusekkar, you are one of the most important members of the team, and it's very important for you to stay alive. That little bit you bought the person in chase might be enough for them to get to another sentinel or somebody else that can help them out as well. We will now move on to Dusekkar's second ability called Plasma Beam. Plasma Beam is an incredibly strong ability, not quite as good as spawn protection, but it is still very, very helpful. Plasma Beam is a beam aimed by your cursor that inflicts killers with slowness 2 and survivors with speed 1. These are very helpful debuffs in both senses. In the description for Plasma Beam, it says it can only hit one person at a time. This only applies to survivors, as you can hit a killer and a survivor at the same time. With this being said, you can try and line up your shots to hit a killer and afflict them with slowness 2 and give a survivor speed 1 while they're in chase. This can be very, very helpful and buy somebody a ton of time. This also isn't stated in the description for the ability, but it goes through walls, so you can try and predict where somebody is and hit them through a wall. It can also be incredibly helpful on indoor maps. Overall, there isn't very much to say about this ability, as it's pretty straightforward, but it is incredibly strong in chase, and you want to use it just like spawn protection. With a range of 150 studs, you can stand pretty far back and hit both the killer and the survivor. This one won't draw as much attention to you as spawn protection, which is a really good thing, as you can just kind of buff people from afar. On a 20-second cooldown, this is not that long and a very helpful ability. Overall, Dusekkar is best played at a safe distance away from your team, where you are still interacting with them, but you're not right up in their face, as Dusekkar really struggles in chase. But Dusekkar is an incredibly strong survivor when played right, and he is so much fun when you get comfortable with him. Elliot is by far probably the most supportive survivor out of the support roster. This is due to him being the real deal healer of the group. He's really the only way to get healing other than Builderman. Elliot is the #1 healer. You will rely on him for regen. When there's no medkits, Elliot's are your best bet. With this being said, it makes Elliot killer target #1, so when playing Elliot, you need to take extra caution about chases and killers, as normally once they lock onto you, it'll be very hard to throw them off. With Elliot having the lowest health out of any survivor in the entire game, it makes chases that much more dangerous, and you always want to try and play around somebody safe. Shedletsky and Guest are your two best bets for protection, so try and stay around them most of the time if you can. With this being said, Elliot is not completely defenseless in chase, however. He does have an ability specifically tailored to getting out of chases, being his Rush Hour ability. We will talk about this ability second, as it kind of goes hand in hand with his Pizza Throw ability, which is his main draw and the healing aspect of him. Elliot's Pizza ability has actually recently received a change as of the most recent update. The ability now has Elliot throw out a pizza that does an initial burst of 15 healing, then applying the rest of the healing over a 2.5 second period. Overall, after the 2.5 second period, the ability heals a total of 35 health. This can be altered based on how many generators are done in the match at a time. One of Elliot's passives, Order Up, gives him a 5% increase in how much he heals based on how many generators are done. The best way to use Elliot's Pizza Toss is to throw it at people that are currently in chase, and always use it on people at low health. If there is somebody next to you that is at around 50% HP, but they are standing right next to you, and somebody who is 20% HP but currently being chased, it is much more worthwhile for you to go find the person in chase and throw them a pizza than it would be to heal the person with a higher HP, but they're right next to you. Keep in mind that you don't always have to hit the person directly with the pizza. While it is probably the best course of action in 90% of situations, if somebody is being chased, you can position a pizza in front of them and have them run into it. This eliminates the fear of you missing and having the person turn around back into the killer to go get your pizza. Another big change that occurred to Elliot's pizza toss recently is the change that lets survivors see his pizza illuminated for the entire duration. It is no longer a set amount of time. They will always know directly where your pizza is if they are in a 200 stud range of it. So again, it's just more incentive to leave them out in open areas where people can go and get them. To use pizza toss effectively, you want to get familiar with getting in and out of dangerous situations. You want to be able to throw a pizza and get out of the situation without the killer chasing you, because as stated before, you have an incredibly low health pool and want your other sentinels to do the chasing most of the time. As some closing thoughts for pizza toss before we move on to Elliot's other ability, Rush Hour, you want to get in and out incredibly fast. Don't always feel obligated to hit direct on pizzas. Always focus on people who are incredibly low health, and like Dusekkar, focus on your sentinels and supports, as they are very, very important to the team. Also, just to add about Elliot's other passive, because I didn't exactly know where to talk about it. Elliot has two passives, the first one we talked about before, and this one being Deliverer's Resolve, which gives Elliot aura reading on survivors who have taken at least 1 damage as of the new update. Very helpful for finding survivors that are low HP. Elliot's second ability, Rush Hour, is a much more chase-focused ability. It gives Elliot some actual survival in chase, unlike Dusekkar, who we talked about before, has really no staying power in chase. Elliot has a basically get-out-of-jail-free card if he plays this ability right, as this ability gives Elliot speed 3 for 3 seconds, which is... Speed 3 is very fast. You are able to make a ton of distance on the killer with Rush Hour. The caveat to Rush Hour being in, well, instant speed 3 is that you only have 1 charge starting out, but you can refill the charges by giving people pizza. That's why I said earlier that pizza toss and Rush Hour kind of go hand in hand. You charge Rush Hour by giving pizzas to people, and it is on a cooldown of 40 seconds. As of the most recent update, Rush Hour now plays a sound when the Elliot uses it. It plays the speed coil equip sound, which is kind of a tell to the killer that, oh, he's probably going to get away. So do be aware of that whenever you use it. The killer will know a little bit ahead of time before you speed off. Mostly what you want to use Rush Hour for is those panic situations where the killer will drop somebody and immediately lock onto you. In like split-second decisions like that, you want to speed off. Or if you are in a very long chase and are able to regain enough stamina to where it's worthwhile speeding off, it is incredibly useful, and most of the time the killer will just completely drop you, which is normally exactly what you want. Rush Hour can also be a big player in Last Man Standing for Elliot, as it'll buy you a ton of time and can possibly lead to wins. Elliot is can be a pretty reliable Last Man Standing winner if you pair it with a soda and you use your Rush Hour at a perfect time. He's not the best, but he can work. So now the question is, when exactly do you use your Rush Hour? Do you use it the second the killer starts chasing you? Do you do it whenever you're running low on stamina? How do you use it? The way I like to use it is about whenever my stamina bar has drained about halfway. That normally gives you a little bit of stamina to work with whenever it's over, and a little bit to work off of while you're running. If you are in a last stand kind of chase where the killer is chasing you and you know you're probably going to die, it is not a bad idea to just use your Rush Hour to try and survive 2-3 more hits and make the killer miss. If you are going to die in like 1 hit, go ahead and just use it. It's better to stay alive for like 5 more seconds than it would be to die to that hit. Also, do keep in mind that pizza does refresh your Rush Hour, so if you are running in a chase and you see somebody that is very weak, or not even weak, they can just have like a little bit of health missing, you throw them a pizza, you get a Rush Hour, that could be the difference between your life and death. Always look out to give pizzas to people while you're in chase. One final thing I do want to mention about Rush Hour before we move on is that it can be used as a supportive ability to like get to somebody that's dying across the map, but about 99% of the time you're going to want to use it selfishly to keep yourself alive, as most of the time the person will just end up dying anyway and you'll just end up wasting your ability. So what can we gather about Elliot from his 2 abilities and his 2 passives? Altogether, we can determine that the best way to play Elliot is a get in, get out type strategy. So you want to get in really fast, throw a pizza to somebody dying, and then get out so the killer doesn't chase you. You want to let the killer know that you're there, or you want to try and let the killer not know, but they're going to find you. And then you just want to play around that. You want to give people pizzas, save your rush hours for if the killer ever chases you, and just be an overall healer. Yeah, that's your job on Elliot. Heal everybody around you. Oh, Builderman, where do I even begin with you? Builderman is by far my least favorite of the support characters. I don't think he's bad or not fun to play, but he's just my least favorite personally. So I hope you'll take my hand out of this, and I got a little creative liberty. I reached out to somebody for some help. While I do have my own experience playing Builderman, I'm not good by any means, so to give you some actual good advice, I did reach out to one of my friends and he gave me some actual tips. So I'm going to share those with you and explain his reasoning for them. So, yeah. While playing Builderman, you really want to play around your buildings as much as you physically can. You want to live next to your dispenser and sentry gun pretty much the entire game as well. I mean, the dispenser is literally infinite healing as long as the killer doesn't destroy it, and the sentry is guaranteed slowness too, which is absolutely insane. When it comes to your sentry and where to place it, you want to place your sentry where the killer has to leave chase to destroy it. Let's say they're chasing somebody across the map and they see your sentry gun in a corner. The person runs by it, they have to go out of their way to destroy that sentry gun. It's all about buying the other person time, as well that's what the sentry gun's the best at. Good places to put sentry guns would include corners of elevated areas, places that go up. You put the sentry gun at the bottom of that, the person runs by, the killer has to wait and destroy your sentry, or take the slowness too and continue chasing them. Around corners, anywhere that buys the person in chase more time. With the sentry gun being on a pretty short cooldown and the cooldown going down while your sentry's placed, once the killer destroys it, it's not that hard to just slap down another one. So don't worry about it being destroyed, it's not the end of the world. Also, do keep in mind that the effective range of your sentry will decrease for the amount of sentries on the map. So if there are multiple Buildermen, the effective range of your sentry will be a lot less than it would normally. Overall, when it comes to sentry guns, you just want to waste as much of the killer's time as physically possible. So anywhere you feel like would waste the killer's time, because it takes 2 hits from pretty much all killers to take out your sentry. So yeah, that's a pretty big time stall to just have them sit there and swing twice. Do keep in mind when playing against 1x though, mass infection will one-shot your sentry gun, so it can get pretty much completely destroyed if you're running towards it and the 1x mass infections. It can hit you and the sentry gun, which is definitely not something you want. So when it comes to 1x or any projectile for that matter, do keep in mind that your sentry gun can be hit by them and therefore can be damaged and made very low. But as an overall recap for the sentry gun, what you want to do, you want to waste the killer's time, have it in common looping areas so your teammates will run by it. Be sure you are completely safe while setting it up, as the animation takes quite a long time and you are very vulnerable while building. And finally, be sure to make it known to your team where you're setting up your sentry gun, as it's very important that they run towards it and run around it so it gets the most value. But yeah, sentry gun, it's a really solid ability and very, very helpful. Moving on, the next ability we have is Builderman's Dispenser, which is honestly really, really good as well. I briefly mentioned this in the Elliot portion, but Builderman's Dispenser is, I believe, the only one of 2 ways to actually heal other survivors, making this a very critical ability when played right. When it comes to dispenser placement, you want to keep it in very solid areas that give you a view of pretty much everywhere so you can keep an eye out for the killer. A good example of this would be the top of the castle on Brandon Works or the top of the hill in Yorick's resting place. Both are absolutely amazing places for dispensers, as they give you pretty much a whole map-wide view while you can heal. Just like the sentry guns, you want to let your teammates know where your dispenser is in case they get injured. Dispensers are really good at patching up wounds from single encounters with killers. Like if you get hit once or twice, dispensers are really good at patching those wounds up, like 20 damage, 10 damage. Not really something you'd want to sit and heal with for like a full heal, as it'd take a very long time. You'd probably want to seek out an Elliot or go find the med kit for something like that. Again, like the sentry, do look out for 1x and other projectiles, as they will pretty much every projectile and a single swing from any killer will one-shot your dispenser no matter what. This is why it's critical to have it in a place where only survivors would go and killers are unlikely to check, unless they run by it and chase, in which case there's not much you can do. But you want to take similar practices to the sentry, as don't worry about if it gets destroyed, you can pretty relatively easily get down another one. Alright, and just as a quick recap, just like we did for the sentry, for the dispenser you want to keep it out of the killer's sight and let your survivor teammates know where the dispenser is at all times so they can go and heal. You want to try and have it in an area that has a good view of a large portion of the map so you can see if the killer is coming to your location. And you should always build your dispensers with a place to get out in mind so survivors aren't just stuck in a corner while they're healing. Overall, Builderman is an incredibly strong character when used in the right hands. The best way to play him is a building-centric playstyle, staying around your buildings, letting people know about your buildings, and overall just keeping your things up. He's very easy to get used to. And he's not exactly for everybody, he's definitely not for me, but he might be for you. You might like that kind of playstyle, so give him a try. Taph. Where do I even start? I love Taph so much. Taph is probably my second favorite of the supports, right behind Dusekkar. But I mean right behind. Like, I love Taph so much. Taph is very different from all the other supports in that Taph is much more offensive and defensive than most of the other supports. Taph is pretty much built to last and chase once he has himself set up, with his main thing being that he is like a trapper, with his two abilities both being pretty much traps. He is all about revealing the aura of the killer to other survivors and stunning the killer, but slowing and stunning the killer. When it comes to Taph's first ability, the tripwire, it is a very, very strong ability. Taph is able to set out 3 tripwires, all which inflict slowness 2 for 4 seconds when the killer walks over them. The bonus effect that these tripwires give is that anybody in 100 studs of the Taph, once these tripwires are triggered, gains aura reading on the killer for 8 seconds. Which basically lets you predict where he's going, what he's doing, everything about it. It's really, really solid. A single Taph can only have 3 of these tripwires out, as stated before. Once the Taph tries to place one past 3, the first one will disappear. But 3 is more than enough to lock down any one area on any map. 3 is very generous, honestly. The only thing you really need to look out for when it comes to your tripwires is that killers can destroy them. Your tripwires only have 20 health, so one swing from pretty much any killer will instantly destroy the tripwire, which is why you want to try and kind of hide the edges to make it a little less visible to the killer coming on after you. Usually you want to have tripwires down in choke points and, like Builderman's sentry guns, in really populated loop areas. Getting a killer to trip a tripwire can be a very, very big slowdown, especially if you have it paired with his next ability, which we'll talk about soon. But again, when it comes to tripwires, the basics you need to know are place them in very dense loop areas and very tight choke points. Make sure your teammates are aware of where your tripwires are so they can run killers through them. And try to cover the edges of them so the killer can't just immediately destroy them once they see them. Moving on to Taph's second ability, the Subspace Trip Mine. The Subspace is probably my personal favorite ability in the entire game. It is so much fun to use. Basically, Taph throws out a trip mine that goes semi-invisible and that has the ability to stun the killer and apply a unique status effect called Subspaced. This status effect makes the killer's vision very dark, and it makes it almost impossible to see on dark maps or dark areas, really anything. It makes it incredibly hard to see. Getting stunned by the mine also inflicts the killer with Helpless 1 for 5 seconds, so they can't swing or do pretty much anything for 5 seconds. The main and really only thing you need to worry about when using your subspace is that killers can hit your subspace for a reduced penalty. If they hit your subspace, they will only receive subspace 1 and no helpless, so they can still continue the chase with you and most likely kill you. A couple tips for subspace are, it can pretty much detonate through walls. It is all based on a radius. So if a killer comes in radius and it's on one side of the wall, it'll pretty much detonate and still hit them through the wall. So it's best to put this around corners and near tripwires. Putting it near tripwires is a very good idea, as giving the killer slowness 2 on top of the other debuffs, it is deadly and you can make so much distance. But again, the key to a good subspace is all about the placement. So you always want to keep it near hotspot areas, just like your tripwires. You want to pretty much throw them both down together. Wherever you put a tripwire, just throw a subspace next to it. It's just that much more damning, and the killer will probably hate you, but go for it. It's good. Alright, quick recap for the subspace. It can go through walls, so be sure to place it on corners, near tripwires, everything like that. Make sure to take advantage of the helpless the subspace inflicts. If you're trapped in a corner, you can use this to run away, run out, really anywhere. And finally, be sure not to be near your mine when it detonates, as you will suffer the same subspaced 3 effect if you are in the radius when it detonates. And you really don't want that, so be sure to stay out of it. And that pretty much does it for Taph's abilities. So overall, you can play Taph either offensively or defensively. Defensively will definitely lead to a higher win rate and everything, but offensive Taph is so much fun. Going out and throwing your subspace at the killer's face, it can just be so much fun, seeing what you can get away with. But if you do want to win, go for a more reserved thing, lock yourself down in an area, keep people around you, play defensively, and you'll win 100%. Hey, thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate it more than you even know. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe for more. I will be making these videos similar to this in the future. I got plans. Alright, thanks for watching. Love y'all. Bye.